The Demon's Quest Part 2 is a fitting conclusion to Ra's al Ghul's first encounter with Batman. It features an iconic fight between the two with literally the fate of the world's population at stake. Dennis O'Neil wasn't able to return for the writing of this episode, but was it able to match the quality of Part 1 regardless? Following his resurrection in the Lazarus Pit, Ra's al Ghul seeks revenge on Bruce Wayne for turning down his offer to take over his organization and wed his daughter. Thought dead after being left in the collapsing pit, Batman later returns to confront Al Ghul at the Society of Shadows' desert stronghold in the Sahara. There, Ra's is planning to launch an attack that will ignite Lazarus pits all over the world, killing billions and restoring the world to its former pristine glory. The only person who can stop him is Batman. Director Kevin Altieri was back to direct, but as stated, Dennis O'Neil did not come back to write Part 2 of The Demon's Quest. That credit went to another well-known comic book writer, Len Wein. This was his last writing credit on the show, and it definitely wasn't a bad way to go out. Both Wein and O'Neil shared the story credit for this episode, as it was once again based on one of O'Neil's comics. This time, it was Batman number 244, dated September 1972. Another Ra's al Ghul story titled The Demon Lives Again, this installment followed a few beats from the original pretty darn closely. The animation is still done by TMS, but doesn't look quite as good as Part 1. It's not bad, but there are a few moments where the slight quality drop-off was noticeable. Then again, I did watch these back-to-back, so it might not be as apparent if you put some space in between episodes. They continued the abnormal characteristic of blending the title card into an actual scene. The recap of Part 1 acts as the prologue before we see it this time. Picking up from where we left off, Batman is able to save Talia from her temporarily insane father. The Lazarus Pit rejuvenates the body but damages the mind for a short period, and the way Talia snaps her father out of it is equal parts funny and effective.
Thank you, daughter.
She literally slapped the sense back into him. I love that. After Bruce once again refuses Ra's offer to take over the Society of Shadows, the newly re-energized leader destroys the Lazarus Pit site with Batman and Robin trapped inside. The dynamic duo are able to escape and end up at the Wayne Enterprises building in Nepal. They're even shown out of costume researching where Ra's might be heading to. It's kind of funny to imagine Bruce and Dick strolling into a Wayne Enterprises building in another country and just having the run of the place. I wonder if Bruce had secret rooms set up in every building he owns around the world where he can change in and out of costume. We did see it in Heart of Steel Part 1, so I guess that's not too far of a stretch, is it? Robin drops Batman off near a caravan of Society of Shadows members on their way to Ra's place. He takes one out and steals his clothes, but also never takes off the Batman costume, so he looks ridiculous, but also kind of cool. I remember thinking the same thing when I was a kid, too. The guy who looks back and waves at him like it's all normal made me laugh pretty hard on this last rewatch. Although they were wearing masks in that last episode, so maybe it's not that weird, but the visual timing of Batman jumping on the camel and the guy waving at him is pretty funny to me. Once they get to the stronghold, Batman is found out, and Ra's finally divulges his plan to him. Since Bruce wouldn't become his heir, Al Ghul says he was forced to speed up his plan to cleanse the Earth. All over the world, bombs hang above the remaining Lazarus pits. A satellite called Orpheus is armed to set them all off remotely, dropping the bombs into the pits simultaneously and having the substance overrun the world. While the Lazarus pits can bring life to the dying or dead, they will kill a healthy person. When Bruce mentions the human death toll, Ra's responds with a dramatic, precise number.
2,056,986,000.
I can see it clearly now for the first time. You are completely out of your mind.
Oh, and yes, Batman is stripped of his shirt and cape because Ra's wanted to make sure he wasn't armed with anything outside of his utility belt, but don't they watch this show? Batman always has a lockpick in his mouth. Always. Bruce is able to escape and blows up a lot of the compound before having a final climactic battle with Ra's. Once again, it's one of the more memorable visuals in the series. We never see Batman look like that again, and the sword fight that ensues is a great moment. Spoilers for the ending here. Batman is able to stop the countdown to destruction as Ra's is left defeated, hanging above another Lazarus pit. He actually lets go himself, and falls presumably to his death.
Perhaps it is time I am finally one with the planet I so love.
Has Ra's al Ghul and Poison Ivy ever done a team-up in the comics or any movie or series releases I'm not aware of? Their goals are at times pretty similar, and I don't recall them ever working together in a big story. Anyway, this is all great stuff. Batman leaves in a plane being piloted by a waiting Robin after leaving Talia to go free and kissing her in a big romantic moment. The music swells, and again, it feels very Indiana Jones-ish. That sequence and Batman's sword fight with Ra's are directly out of the Batman comic this is based on, but this episode ends on a not-so-happy note. Damn, that laugh is awesome. It's a creepy, menacing little moment that shows Ra's al Ghul has cheated death once again. He'd show up in a few more episodes after this. The full Demon's Quest story is a must-see two-parter if you want to check out one of Batman's best villains in one of his greatest interpretations. I think I like part 1 a little bit better, but part 2 is a worthy finish with one of the more memorable set pieces Batman the Animated Series ever did. Go on your own quest and watch these two back to back.
Infidel!
If you only knew how sick I am of you calling me that.